What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from the Go Boys Network, coming to you to talk about college football week 9. We're going to go over the Thursday and Friday slate here. We got 5 games to talk about, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this. So the first one on Thursday, Georgia Southern taking on Old Dominion. Spread is currently 2.5 at the time of recording. For me here, I like Georgia Southern plus the 2.5. And it's really, I'm not particularly high on either team in their conference, but when I look at this game, you look at Old Dominion, and their quarterback really doesn't throw the ball well. They're a team that doesn't want to throw the ball, really, period. They want to run the ball. And I think they can have some. I don't want to say success, but I mean they're gonna be able to run their style of football, in my opinion. But where the issue comes in for them, I think, is Georgia Southern. The defense is not great, but when you're facing a team like Old Dominion, where they're going to run the ball on first and second down, I think we see Georgia Southern kind of load up the box, try to force this Old Dominion team to throw the ball, and if they can, get them into down and distance where it's third and long, force them into passing situations, I really think that Georgia Southern will have some success on defense. Offensively, this isn't the same, Georgia's high-powered Georgia Southern, offense that we saw last year, but they're still pretty good. And I think that this is a very exploitable matchup here against Old Dominion. So in terms of scoring points, I really have no concern about Georgia Southern putting up points. Obviously, the biggest concern would be their defense shutting down Old Dominion. But as I mentioned, when you're facing a team like Old Dominion where that they're going to run the ball, I think we see this Georgia Southern team load up and try to force them to throw the ball, force them into those longer third downs, which at that point I think kind of plays into their game, plays into what Georgia Southern wants to do. So give me Georgia Southern plus 2.5 here. I'd play them on the money line too, truthfully, if the line moves by the time this gets posted.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Go Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Go Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
The next one for Thursday, Syracuse traveling to Pittsburgh. So you get spread sitting at 6.5 currently. For me here, it's going to be Q's. I like Q's plus the 6.5, plus 6, whatever you can get it at. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Pitt's obviously undefeated. They've looked really good. Holstein's looked really good. But ultimately where the edge kind of came in for me here, you look at what Syracuse has done offensively with Kyle McCord. You look at this Pittsburgh defense, and they haven't really faced a quarterback who really wants to sling the rock. You saw it in week 2 against Cincinnati. Sorsby threw for 400 yards. But outside of him, they really haven't seen a team that's going to go out there and throw the ball 40 times. So the secondary already is kind of rough. You look at it, and they're bottom 30 in terms of passing yards allowed per game. So definitely allowing a lot of passing yards. And now you're going to face Kyle McCord, who we've seen light up pretty much everybody that he's faced. This just seems like a really bad spot for the Pittsburgh defense. And kind of more importantly here, Pittsburgh, I believe, second in blitz rate and pressure rate. I want to say might even be, I know it's ACC for sure, but I want to say they might even be top 10 FBS. What's crazy about that, though, is Kyle McCord against pressure this season, looking at his passing grade, is the second highest passing grade against the blitz this year. So if you're going to pressure him as much as Pittsburgh likes to try to pressure quarterbacks, you're kind of just playing into his hand. And with the talent this Q's team has at receiver, I really think we see a huge game out of Kyle McCord here. On the flip side, obviously, Holstein's been really good. But what I wanted to kind of highlight here was the interceptions, the turnover-worthy plays in general. He's second in all of the FBS for turnover-worthy plays, and first in terms of dropped interceptions with 7 dropped INTs this year. So this is a Pittsburgh team that's played a lot of close games. Would you say they've been a bit lucky at times? I mean, I would. So you get a Q's team who went into Allegiant Stadium, handled UNLV when nobody gave them a chance. And for me here, I just think going into Pittsburgh, it's a rivalry game. Pittsburgh obviously starting a bit of a gauntlet here as they move into the latter part of the season. Definitely a tough 4-game stretch coming up here, starting with Q's. And I like Q's to keep it close. I think they might even win this one outright, truthfully. Give me Syracuse plus 6.5 here. Moving on to Friday, the first one, Louisville traveling to Boston College. And I mean, at first glance, it spreads at 7.5. Louisville minus 7.5. But at first glance, you see Louisville off the loss to Miami, and a lot of people, myself included, have always look at like, okay, bounce back spot. Boston College just got ran by Virginia Tech. This is a bad team. Bounce back spot. Whatever. My issue with that is Louisville played Miami. Super emotional game. So I don't want to say hung up, like a hangover type thing, but I do think they're going to come out a little flat. I really do. Especially having to be on the road. And then you look at Louisville's schedule and they play Clemson next. So this is a really odd sandwich spot here where Boston College kind of just thrown in the middle of a Miami and then Clemson. I like Boston College plus 7.5 here. I like a lot of dogs on these Thursday, Friday games. So I'm either getting absolutely cooked or we're having fun making a bunch of money. Boston College definitely has been underwhelming to say the least. Kind of fallen off a cliff here since, as good as they looked early in the season. But this Louisville defense, nothing to really write home about. We've seen them get gashed by pretty much everybody. I think Castellanos with his legs can have a big game. And if he's using his legs, it's going to open up the pass. And that's when Castellanos looks his best. So I do think Boston College hangs in here, keeps this one close. The total felt a little low to me. I was a little surprised just because I'm not too high on Boston College's defense. But maybe they come to play. Maybe they, like I said, kind of stick it to this Louisville team who I do expect to be a little bit flat coming off a really emotional game against Miami. Give me Boston College plus 7.5 here. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick reminder that new users can bet $5 at FanDuel on any of the bets in this video and win $150 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Now let's get back to the bets. Moving on Friday, this one probably the biggest game of the week. Boise State traveling to UNLV. Boise State a 3.5-point road favorite. I'm going to take a shot here on UNLV, and I'm going to tell you guys why. So, I mean, obviously, Ashton Jeanty on their side, I think he's going to do what he does no matter what. UNLV's run defense been below average all season. Do think that Jeanty obviously has success here. UNLV is probably going to do everything they can to at least slow him down, and I think it's a matter of keeping it to make him go 80 yards on 10 carries as opposed to 2 carries. So I don't think they're going to really slow him down a ton. But on the flip side, when you look at this Boise State team defensively, I've seen a few people say they look good. I'm not really sold on this defense because you look at who they've played and they've had a pretty soft schedule. The teams that you've expected to put up points have put up points. Oregon, Georgia Southern. And so now you get a UNLV team who's loaded with talent at receiver. Obviously, Hodge at quarterback's been really, really good. And I think that this Boise secondary struggles against all the weapons on this UNLV offense. This game, in my opinion, is definitely ticketed for a shootout. I hope it is. It's a super late game. I'll be up for it. I'm sure a lot of people will be. Really want to see this thing go back and forth. I just love getting UNLV plus the 3.5 at home. Like I said, I think in a shootout, I'm going to take 3.5 points. And for me, if it comes down to, even if UNLV can slow Jeanty down just enough to force Boise to have to throw the ball a little more than they want to, I think UNLV wins this game. Obviously, if Jeanty goes for 250 or whatever he's going to do, I mean, then they're probably going to lose. But I don't see Boise stopping UNLV. I really don't see UNLV stopping Boise much either. I'm just hoping they get us at least one stop, to make the difference here and get us the win. But I will take UNLV plus the 3.5 at home. Moving on to the late game. Rutgers traveling to SoCal to take on USC. USC is a minus 13.5-point favorite at home. That is where I'm going. It is a very uncomfortable number to lay with USC given the melt job they just had against Maryland. This team's lost 3 of the last 4. I think they beat Wisconsin, sandwiched in 3 losses. Minnesota, Penn State, and Maryland. So back at home, obviously it's a kind of a goofy travel spot for them too because they're having to travel all the way back to SoCal. But regardless, they're at home. Rutgers, I am not a big fan of their quarterback. Monagai at running back can only do so much in my opinion. And for me here, I just really, really think that this is a spot where USC kind of looks how people expected them to. This is a team that came into the year with a lot of expectations. Hasn't really lived up to any of those, obviously. The Big Ten, I think, a little bit more of a leap than they expected. But Rutgers, the defense has been bad. The offense has been inconsistent. Monagai, if he can run the ball, that's where they find most of their success. The quarterback play is very subpar. The guy's name escapes me, but he played at Minnesota last year. Kalakamanis, whatever his name is. I don't think he plays very well in the spot. I don't love the USC defense, but I do think the USC defense is better than they've looked. I do think at times they have looked, pretty good. Obviously, the melt job against Maryland, super concerning. But for me, seeing this spread at 2 touchdowns, it looked huge to me. Like, when I saw this number, I'm just like, whoa. Like, because truthfully, when I first saw this game on the slate before I saw the lines, Rutgers was definitely like where my head was at. I was like, oh, they can hang with USC. USC's not. But then you see this huge spread for a team that just absolutely melted. I feel like it's telling. So I'm going to lay the 2 touchdowns. I'm going to lay the 13.5 at USC, and I'm going to pay to find out. Like I said, Rutgers' defense has been very bad. Miller Moss probably have a great day. Who I really like here, Woody Marks, his rushing yards, 97.5 at the time of recording. I like the over. If you can get a receiving yard prop, I couldn't find one. I think his receiving yards are in play too. Guy's kind of just a do it all back for them. Really the kind of the catalyst of the offense, in my opinion. I know that Branch is on the offense as well, but this is just a guy who, like I said, he runs really well. Whether it's inside the tackles, outside zone, whatever you want to do, he can do it. He has a lot of good speed. What would you call that? Good twitch. Just has a ton of ability to make guys miss and get a lot of run after catch, run after contact, whatever you want to call it. Really just like Woody Marks here in this spot. So give me USC minus the 13.5. That does conclude the Thursday Friday slate. Hope you guys are enjoying these. I will have a video for Friday or for Saturday, and we will keep it rolling. As always, you can get all of my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't want to hurt a gambler. Thank you guys.